Everyone stood atop the hill, eyes locked on the monstrous form of Warnog ascending into the stars above. The colossal wraith, its jagged silhouette eclipsing the orange-green sky, twirled with an almost grotesque elegance, its triumphant roar shaking the very air. The silence hung heavy. Jaidas sat on the wet grass, her legs pulled tight against her chest, letting the weight of failure press against her like a suffocating tide. The others were frozen, their expressions a blend of dread, exhaustion, and grim defeat. They had failed. Warnog, despite all of their efforts, had risen. Well, guess that's it. Ellie's voice was a dull murmur, her sigh punctuating the stillness. Winona whirled on her, teeth bared. What do you mean, that's it? We gotta stop that thing! She flung a hand towards the spiraling god, fury and desperation warring in her stance. Ellie snapped her head down at her, eyes blazing. Oh, yeah? How the hell do you propose we do that, genius? We're ants compared to that thing! The others flinched at the sudden harshness, the truth in her words landing like a gut punch. Winona's gaze darted the void, arms thrown wide. Come on! Surely you've got a plan, Voyd! You've always got a plan! Right? But Voyd had already sunk to the ground beside Jaida. He shook his head slowly, his voice hollow. He stalled, as all eyes fell upon him. Then, with a shaken voice, he spoke honestly. I've got nothing. Winona stiffened. I've got nothing. Voyd repeated, his usual confidence stripped raw. That's a god. A literal god. Without the rest of Jaida's soul, we can't soulbind it. There's no easy fix for this. I'm sorry. I've got nothing. His final whisper was audible, but barely. Coco folded her arms, tilting her chin at the sky. So, it's a fight we can't win. That's the short of it? She asked. Francine scratched Meowcry behind the ears, her tone grim. Do you got a plan to kill a god, marine expert? She asked to Coco, who sighed in defeat. Meowcry didn't have an answer either. His whiskers twitched, mouth flatlined, ears pinned back. His parents laid beside everyone, their massive tails curling close as they watched Warnog dance in the sky, roaring in victory. We can't just stand here, Toonie burst out, fist clenched. We've got to do something. Winona, flip your switch. Voyd, just think. This is our fault. We can't just leave it. Jaida shook her head, silently. Then Amelia spoke. The only way to realistically defeat Warnog is if Jaida takes her soul back. She pointed skywards. That crystal in his forehead, it's the culmination of his power, like all the wraiths. If we're able to breach it, it'll warp us to his heart. It's like a nervous system of energy. Hence why you're able to drain some of the dynasty's souls, Jaida. She said to her daughter, who looked at her hands. Nox scoffed. And how the hell are we supposed to get up there exactly? Amelia hesitated. We'd need a plane or something large enough to carry us. Amelia suddenly halted, as the sound of an engine filled the air. Everyone turned their heads, and their eyes went wide with shock, seeing something unexpected. Hey! Hey! A voice called, searing down, driving a sputtering, broken, makeshift flying device that expelled smoke. Came none other than Ulysses? Jaida asked aloud, shooting to her feet, gasping. The wraith careened towards them, his wild head shape visible even from afar. Hey! What in God's name, lads? What in God's name happened?
I thought you were supposed to stop the damn thing, not wake it up!
His makeshift plane nearly crash-landed in a screech of metal, skidding to a stop mere feet from the group. Ulysses, moments after, tumbled from the rickety seat, brushing himself off with theatrical flair. "We tried," Voyd muttered, still stunned as he and the rest approached him with shocked expressions. "What the hell are you doing here?" Ulysses adjusted his throat and spoke.
Was thinking about what you and your friends offered. Figured I'd join the fight. Although I am late, I see the show ain't over yet."
His tone dimmed as he leant skywards.
"Oh, bollocks. Never thought I'd see the day."
Jamie blinked with confusion. "Who the hell is this guy?" Coco grinned. "A friend."
"Now, what's the game plan, lads? Surely you got a backup and something ready to go. Because that is one tough cookie, I tell ya. One tough cookie."
Ulysses expressed wildly with a sharp point, his tone curious yet serious. Jaida sighed, crossing her arms with a tense heart. "We know how to stop him, but we don't exactly know how we'll reach it. We gotta get to that crystal in his head to get back to my soul. But we're sitting ducks." Ulysses scratched his sharp chin, craning his orange eyes up, looking at everyone and everything before his sights. He then looked to the Shacky, then the jet, then to his own broken machine. His cosmic eyes then widened.
"Oh, you need a way to fly high enough to reach it then,"
he proclaimed, slithering forwards like a snake. Yeah, but that's the problem. We can't," Winona replied, as Ulysses snapped his golden fingers, a smirk growing on his face.
"Fear not, friends! Ulysses has an idea!"
Ulysses cried as he turned the jet.
"You there, big blue hunk of junk! Are you able to detach yourself from that big body of yours?"
Jet tilted his round head, his screen face flickering.
"Yes. However, may I ask as to why?"
he questioned before Ulysses smirked.
"Trust me,"
he said, although hesitant. Jet disengaged his small body from the thumper. Knock and Cot exited through the windows as he did as such, all three landing on the grass. "What's your planning exactly?" Myakri asked as Ulysses raised his hands.
"My device! This powerhouse of a mobile weapon mixed with your shack, my friend! If I were to fuse them, you not only have a way to reach the big bastard, but you'd have a protective shell!"
Ulysses exclaimed, making everyone look at one another with perplexity. "You're gonna merge these?" Francine asked with a stern attitude. But before she could get an answer, Ulysses went to work. He raised his hands higher and began to warp parts from both the thumper and his plane onto the Caddyshack. Everyone watched in amazement as a hybrid of three was created. Jet's thumper parts gave the shack landing wheels and an armored exterior. His arm cannon was miraculously turned into a large turret attached to the underside of the shack. The skeletal metal base for wings was then crafted at the building's sides. The engine and inner workings of the thumper was crafted into a thruster near the back, one that charged up with blue fire. Then came the parts of Ulysses' flying device, creating the rest of the shack, plain hybrid thing that looked like a mess, but revved with a healthy sound of power. "Holy shit," Ellie gasped.
"Our thumper!"
Nock sighed, while Myakri perked up.
"Holy moly! You made my shacky into a planey!"
Myakri cried as Ulysses slithered forwards with pride.
"Indeed! This will be your best bet if you are to face War Dog head on. But it's in need of one more thing,"
Ulysses said before turning his attention to Winona.
"Your stick, my dear!"
he exclaimed, pointing at Winona, who looked puzzled. "What? Why?" Ulysses nodded low.
"Normal firepower won't be enough. That stick contains powerful surges of cosmic fire. We're gonna need to infuse the whole thing into the machine if we want a fighting chance."
Winona's brow furrowed. "But the thumper's already got cosmic fire in it," she stated. Ulysses frowned.
Yes, I can tell, but only a smidgen. We need full power to deflect Warnog Celestia. Without it, there's no winning.
Winona looked down at her stick, made a sad face, knowing what had to be done. Okay, she said before handing it to Ulysses. Farewell, my friend, she said, her head hanging low. Miakri approached her, stretched up, and placed a paw on her shoulder. I'll find you another one, I promise, he said in his normal voice, trying to comfort Winona. Nodding, Ulysses flicked his wrist and warped the stick into the Shaki's power drives. As he connected it to the engine, it roared with greater cosmic power, and the Shaki seems illuminated with a blue, beautiful light, making it look magical and ethereal to all who gazed upon it.
There we go,
Ulysses boasted as he set his sights to the others, while eyed each other with many thoughts. Voyd stood, taking a deep breath, clearly tired, but knowing what had to be done. Me, Jaida, and Amelia will go. Everyone else can stay and be safe. In response, Toonie marched forwards, his green eyes blazing. No way, bro, he boasted. We're a team now. If you're going, then I'm coming with you, he said, gripping Voyd's hand with a brotherly shake. As am I. We entered this mess together, and we're gonna end it together, Ellie added, gripping her bat, and nodding to Jaida and Voyd. As am I, Coco said, readying her staff. And us, Winona said, as her and Francine approached. All of us, Francine said, as Miakri perched himself on her shoulder. Nock, Jamie, Jet, and Cod approached, nodding firmly. Don't leave us out of this fight, Jamie said, while the cats nodded down to everyone. Toby finished it off with a sharp bark. No, sorry, Mommy and Daddy. You're too big to fit in the Shaki, Miakri said to his parents, who rolled their eyes in response, hissing in annoyance. Voyd and Jaida, seeing the bravery in everyone, nodded to them, understanding more than ever that they were stronger as one. We do this as a team, Jaida affirmed. As a team, Voyd finished, before everyone else repeated. But before anyone else could march forwards towards the shack, Amelia spoke up. Before we do anything else, Jaida, you're gonna need protection if you are to take back your soul, Amelia said, kneeling down to be eye level with her baby. To make sure you can withstand such a power, I will transfer my essence to your body for the time being. I won't be here physically, but I'll be able to give you your powers back until we reach your soul, Amelia stated to Jaida's surprise. You're gonna control me? She asked. Amelia smiled and shook her head with a small laugh. No. I'll be taking a back seat. You won't be as strong as you were before, but I can provide enough of what you have lost. Jaida thought for a moment, but she knew that would be dangerous. If what her mother said was true, then there was only one option. Do it, she stated. Amelia nodded, smiling with determination. Hold still, Pumpkin. With a warp, Amelia transformed back into a glowing blue ball of energy. Then, everyone watched as she flew forwards and entered Jaida's body in a searing blue flash of light. Jaida staggered for a moment, feeling and patting herself down, before she physically changed before everyone's eyes. Her red hair turned into a cosmic shade of sapphire blue, her eyes doing the same in a flash of light. Even her outfit shifted from orange to a beautiful aqua shade of energy. As the transformation finished, several spectral butterflies manifested from her hair, floating around in pretty little shimmers. A series of odd sounds filled the air as Jaida flexed her hands. Focusing, she summoned a blue cosmic sword, and then warped the Void side, testing her abilities. He smiled at her. Hey, you look pretty good in all blue, he said, to which she rolled her eyes. Let's just finish this, she said, eyeing the Shaki. Let's show this snake what the Aurora Legends are made of. she boasted, filling everyone with determination. One by one, they entered the shack, leaving the cats to linger. The two of them waved as Meowcry alongside Jet got into the controls, Ulysses beside them, taking hold of a gun control and shifted the gears. The Shacky's engine roared with cosmic fire and blasted off, soaring off the ground and into the air, heading straight for Warnog. The Catty Shacky roared through the upper atmosphere like a comet, its makeshift form hurtling towards Warnog like a bullet fired from the heart of courage. Inside, Nock, Cot, and Jamie clung to the nearest wall, their knuckles white, teeth rattling. The cabin trembled violently as the Shacky ascended, the stars sharpening in the focus through the glass panes. But in the center of the main room, the legends stood, huddled together. Ellie leaned in, her usual sharp expression softened by something rare. Vulnerability. She looked around at the faces. Toonie's eager expression, Voyd's quiet intensity, Francine's stern gaze, Coco's grin, Winona's steady grace, and Jaida's prepared eyes. She gently sighed. Ellie began, a crooked smile tugging at her lips. Listen, I know I tend to be an asshole most of the time. Her voice was quieter now, almost tender. But... She paused, swallowing hard, as if the words themselves were heavy. If we end up going out in a blaze of glory, I'm happy to go out with all of you. Her eyes glistened, now with tears, but with a fierce, unyielding warmth. I love you, idiots. A ripple passed through them, nods, small and solemn, ones full of love. Toonie stepped forwards, his hand reaching out to rest on Ellie's shoulder, a gesture of softness, of companionship. We love you too, Ellie, he said. Ellie flinched and scowled. Hands off, Toonifer. She snapped, slapping his hand and pulling away. Toonie yanked back his arm with a little yelp, his expression flashing with nervousness, until Ellie burst into laughter, the sound bright and sudden in the tense room. I'm playing, she said, slapping his arm. I love you, you mangy mutt. Toonie let out a relieved chuckle, rubbing his shoulder with a grin. Then Francine stepped forwards, her voice like a calm river in the storm. Yeah, if this really is the end, I'm happy knowing I'm going out as a changed person. She looked around the room, her gaze lingering on each of them. Thank you, all of you, for opening my eyes. Another round of nods erupted, deeper this time. But Voyd, with a heart full of hope, spoke up. Hey, he said, stepping closer into the circle, his tone cutting through the quiet like a blade. Here's another mindset. He smirked, eyes blazing. How about we actually come out of this alive? We've made it too far to fall now. He then spread his arms. Gather up. One by one, they closed in, forming an even tighter circle, shoulders touching, breath sinking. Voyd looked at them all, his voice dropping low. When we first arrived here, I was worried sick about you all. I thought you were going to get yourselves killed before we even knew what would hit us. A soft laugh passed through the group. But you've proven yourselves more than capable. If you were to ask me... He paused, pride thick in his voice. You'd have made fine sparks among my people. Fine sparks. Coco punched the air. Let's show this big snake son of a bitch what an encore looks like, she said, hyping the others up. Damn right, Winona declared, raising her camera from her satchel. A flash erupted as she snapped the shot. Not faces of fear, but of resolve. Teeth bared, eyes sharp, hearts unbroken. For those we lost, Toonie cried. And for those we honor, Jaida finished, her voice ringing with power. Let's give them hell, she said, and as one, they turned towards the front. The Shacky's front wall had been reinforced. A massive, curved window now arced across the entire front wall, offering a full view of the cosmos. And there, looming in the starfield, was Warnog. His armored joints pulsed with crimson energy, his helmet gleaming with judgment and wrath. He soared into the starry sky, a god ready to lay waste to a whole realm. Ulysses gripped the railing, squinting through the glass as Jet perched on his shoulder.
All right, lads,
he called, voice edged with exhilaration.
It seems my family stayed true to the initial design. Good!
He pointed a golden hand towards Warnog's joints, where the glowing red orbs pulsed with unstable energy.
The armor has weak points. Fail-safes I designed in case things went sideways. And oh, how they've gone sideways!
Ulysses laughed, wild and sharp.
Those are conductors! If each one is disabled, the entire armor disengages, exposing the gem hidden beneath the helmet. But it's gonna take a lot of force. We're talking spark force!
Ulysses said, eyeing Voyd with a smirk. Voyd smirked back, cracked his neck, rolled his shoulders, and punched his fist into his palm. The sound echoed through the cabin like a drumbeat. Flying headfirst into power armor built for a god? He asked, eyes glittering with a challenge. Guess it's my lucky day. Toonie stepped up beside him, Celestia flickering on his fingertips, his form beginning to glow with a soft teal radiance.
Hey, I think I can help you out,
he said, flexing his hands.
I've pretty much figured out how to fly and stabilize myself back when I fought you.
Boyd glanced at him, narrowing his eyes. You really want to fly headfirst into a battle like this? Toonie didn't hesitate.
Yeah. If there's one thing this whole adventure taught me, it's to not be afraid.
His glow intensified, light spilling across the floor like dawn.
Let's kick some ass!
He declared, although there was a hint of nervousness in his voice. Voyd nodded, firm and proud. He turned to the others. Sorry, ladies, he said with a grin. Looks like guys get first punchies. Coco giggled. Oh, you too, she said, smirking wide. Give them hell, boys, Jaidas said, her voice like steel. Voyd and Toonie exchanged their special handshake, then nodded, before marching towards the front door. The Shacky stabilized, its thrusters to hold a normal position. Voyd and Toonie exited the door and stood at the porch's edge, silhouetted against the stars. Behind them, the others took their positions, weapons armed. Nakka and Jamie joined the line, no longer passengers, but part of the fight. Warnog then turned. His colossal form shifted, swiveling in the space like a planet tilting on its axis. His eyes locked onto the tiny shack, the speck of defiance daring to challenge his eternity. A voice, deep as an abyss, reverberated through the void, shaking the very whole of the Shacky.
Foolish sinners.
Warnog greeted, cold and final.
Cease your pursuit, and I shall grant you salvation.
The Shacky did not slow. The turrets along Warnog's armor hummed to life, locking onto the fragile vessel. Still, they advanced. Warnog's voice rose, snarling now, laced with fury.
It would seem you acquire more than just salvation.
A pulse of energy gathered across his body, emerald and orange light flaring.
You require absolution.
Voyd and Toonie moved as one, taking a few quick, synchronized steps back and then running back onto the weathered porch planks. They found their launching point, and then they were a blur of motion. Voyd launched himself forwards, his body a coiled spring of power. He flipped through the air, and as he reached the apex of his ascent, the air around his back shivered. With a sound like a shooting star, his wings materialized. They hummed with power, propelling him forward in a soaring, majestic dive towards the colossal beast. Toonie was a heartbeat behind, His brow was furrowed, his breathing controlled and calm despite the adrenaline screaming through his veins. He ignited his hands and feet. With a whoosh, the emerald green flames, not wild and chaotic, but focused and steady. They blasted him forwards with incredible speed, a green rocket streaking through the air to fly beside his brother. Together, they looked like a single terrifying comet, its tail split between brilliant blue and green auras. Warnock's response was immediate and deafening. The colossal cannons mounted on his back ignited with a thunderous roar, blasting searing beams of teal and orange power that tore through the space where the boys had just been. The Shaki veered hard, soaring out of the devastating line of fire. The boys weaved and evaded the blast, growing closer. "Ready to kick his tails?" Toonie yelled over the cacophony. Voyd's helmet deployed around his head with a sharp, mechanical hiss, his Nova Blade shimmering into existence in his grasp, its edge singing with power. "I believe we call those tendrils," he corrected, his voice filtered through the helmet. "If you want to be fancy, we can call them raging calamari." Toonie rolled his eyes, a grin cracking his focused expression. "Oh, whatever, man! I'll take his left, you take his right!" Voyd smiled beneath his helmet, a surge of fondness for his friend's new, unshakable confidence cutting through the battle's tension. "Aye, aye, Captain," he replied, and on the mark, they split off, arcing away from each other like twin shooting stars. Warnock snarled, a sound that grated like mountains crumbling. He continued his cannon fire, but now he began to swipe his gargantuan armored arms, trying to swat the boys from the sky. From afar, the Caddyshacky roared back in and over the beast's head, its cannon sparking the life. It fired sharp, violent rounds of cosmic fire directly onto the Titan's back, peppering the large, jagged crystal spines that protruded there. The beast roared a mighty pain cry, and Voyd seized the opening. He soared around a blast of teal energy, weaving between a crushing claw strike that would have pulverized the mountain, before zeroing in on the target. The large, glowing conductor sat in the complex armor of Warnock's elbow joint. The orb of pulsating energy was about the size of a small house, but Voyd didn't waste a second. He tucked his wings and dove, ramming the point of his Nova Blade into the glass-like surface of the orb. He punctured it deeply, a web of cracks spreading from the impact point, and then he began to charge the power in his horns. With a concentrated pulse of raw spark essence, he shattered the first conductor. It exploded in a shower of sparks and dying energy, and the weapons in the corresponding gauntlet immediately sputtered and died. At the exact same moment, Toonie descended on the other side with pure speed. He drew back a fist wreathed in roaring green fire and punched the identical orb on the opposite arm with the force of a meteor strike. The glass-like surface exploded inwards, disabling the second of Warnock's arm enhancements. The god roared in pure, unadulterated rage, the sound waves physical and stalling them.
Do you truly believe you can defeat me?
Warnock bellowed, his voice echoing with the power of a supernova. He opened his massive maw, and from within, he sprayed a tsunami-like wave of teal and orange fire at the duo. They reacted instantly, flying in opposite directions. The gargantuan blast passed between them, scorching the very air. Yeah, we do! Toonie called back, his voice defiant even as he narrowly avoided the inferno. The Shaki rounded over again, its cannon glowing with gathered power. From its barrel, a single gargantuan blast of condensed cosmic fire erupted, looking like a comet hurled by the gods themselves. It struck Warnock squarely in the side of his helmet. The armor there buckled, then shattered, revealing a single furious reptilian eye beneath. Warnock roared again, this time in startled pain, as Voyd and Toonie entered back into the fray without hesitation. They blasted forwards, fighting with a renewed desperate intensity. Voyd moved with sharp, precise strikes, his Nova Blade a blur as he destroyed the next few conductors upon Warnock's other arms. Toonie mirrored him on the opposite side, a green whirlwind of fiery, powerful blows. The god tried to swipe and bite at them, but they were like flies, fast and agile. This only fanned the flames of his anger. Arm brace after leg brace sparked and went offline under their relentless assault, while the Shaki continued its support, blasting more searing hot rounds into the beast's back. One of the cosmic rounds found its mark, shattering one of Warnock's large back crystals. He roared in genuine agony, the sound shaking Ophis below as all creatures, wraith and animal alike, watched with wide eyes. As he did, the remaining crystals along his spine began to glow ominously. They charged with power, then unleashed several thick, deadly energy beams that lanced out in all directions. "Whoa!" Voyd shouted, pulling up sharply as a beam sizzled past his wingtip. He, Toonie, and the Shaggy evaded frantically. Inside the shaking cabin, everyone screamed in panic as Mallory, Ulysses, and Jet worked in terrified unison to fly them back out of the erratic blast. "God damn! We gotta get the rest of these things off!" Toonie shouted, breathing heavily. Voyd nodded. "Let's hurry!" he shouted back, and they both soared back into the storm of flailing limbs and energy blasts. They struck at the remaining pieces, a final glowing orb on the vulnerable underside of Warnog's belly near the writhing mass of his tendrils. They dodged and weaved through the frantic defenses until at last they saw their chance. They soared up from below, and in a devastating double strike, they uppercut the last of the larger conductors, embedded in the underside of Warnog's chest plate. As it shattered under the combined force of the Nova Blade and Dark Matter Celestia Surge, the entire armor system began to destabilize. A chain reaction of flailing energy lit up from the god's form like a faulty constellation. The boys didn't wait. They pulled back instantly, flying at top speed towards the safety of the Shaggy, as every joint, every conduit, every plate upon the armor began to explode in a deafening, synchronized symphony of destruction. Voyd and Toonie landed hard on the Shaggy's porch, skidding to a halt. The others scrambled out from inside to meet them, their eyes wide with awe and fear. Together, they watched as Warnog's magnificent armor erupted piece by piece, shattering off his body in a cataclysmic burst of light and shrapnel. The giant god recoiled with a shocked shout of anguish, his form now revealed. Everyone cheered, a collective release of breath they hadn't realized they'd been holding, watching as the remnants of the armor either crashed down the Ophis below or drifted off as lifeless scrap into the star-dusted space above.
Yes! Yes!
Ulysses shouted, pumping a fist into the air, while Mallory giggled in sheer, relieved delight. But their victory was short-lived. Warnog slowly righted himself, his true scaled reptilian form now exposed for all to see. He glared with pure hatred at the Shaggy and clenched his massive fists.
I am a god.
His voice was a low, venomous rumble, far more frightening than his previous roars.
I was born to rule this realm. You dare to try and take it from me again?
Warnog roared in defiance as everyone on the porch slowly, cautiously began to pile back inside, the celebration dying in their throats. The fight was not over. "Let's wear him down!" Jaidas shouted, her voice cutting through the tension. All eyes were locked on the enraged beast as he began his counterstrike, unarmed but far from powerless. The air trembled, thick with dread. Then with a roar that seemed to tear the fabric of reality itself, Warnog began to warp. A collective gasp rippled through the onlookers inside the rickety wooden vessel. The Titan's form flashed, his monstrous size phasing in and out of space with nauseating speed. Each violent warp was punctuated by a concussive shockwave of raw energy that slammed into the flying shack, rattling its bones and throwing its occupants off balance for a heart-stopping moment. He was a blur of scale and malice, darting from left to right before stopping to unleash an earth-shattering roar that vibrated the very air. He raised his multitude of hands. The very island of Ophis groaned in protest, for with a nightmarish twist of his claws, he warped the very foundations of Ophis up. The mountains were ripped from their foundations and heaved into the air, floating like malevolent islands against the sky. Inside the Shaggy, every pair of eyes went wide with a terror that was beyond mere fear.
When I'm done with you, I will torch your pathetic little mud rock to the ground. You, your city, your world will burn!
Warnog's voice was not a sound, but a calamity.
I'll show this entire universe a sundering.
With a flick of his wrists, he shattered the suspended mountains with his essence. But the debris did not simply fall. It was projectile warped. Each shard hurled forward with a deadly, unnatural grace, transforming a rain of stone into a calculated bombardment. Yet the Shaki was not so easily beaten. It flew and weaved through the deadly downpour, a speck of defiant wood against a hail of mountain shards. From below, blasts of cosmic fire continued to streak out, searing the beast's hide. Everyone held on tight to whatever they could, their knuckles white as the shack veered and plunged, avoiding all that came its way. With another gut-lurching warp, Warnog vanished from his vantage and reappeared deadly close, his immense serpentine body coiling through the air. His jaws, a cavern of razor-sharp fangs, snapped shut mere feet from the porch. The collective scream from inside was swallowed by the wind and the monster's hiss. They barely evaded, soaring around the colossal snake as he whipped his multitude of tendrils at them, each strike cutting the air with a sound like a cannon shot. Seeing an opportunity, Meowcry yanked the lever. The Shaki flipped around in a dizzying arc, and in that fleeting moment of the beast's exposed back, he unleashed another concentrated blast. The energy struck true, shattering more of the pulsating crystals that made up Warnog's spine. The god rolled around, his eyes glowing with a burning light. With his mind alone, he attempted to warp the space around the Shaki, to crush it inwards and pull it directly into his waiting maw. The wooden structure groaned, its timbers straining against the pressure. In response, Jaidas slammed her hands onto the floorboards. Her mother's power flared. It blew energy that crackled through the building. She warped them away, a desperate countering shove that ripped the Shaki from the Titan's grasp, just as his jaws snapped shut on the empty air. They continued the fire, the relentless assault weakening the beast, who for all of his immense power, was failing to catch his prey. He glared, his immense form heaving with each breath, watching them soar back around.
I've waited an eternity for this day.
His voice boomed, filled with a hatred forged over a millennia.
I will not allow mere mortals, children, to defy me.
As he snarled the final words, he charged with a concentrated energy, a sun-bright sphere forming between his horns before blasting forth as a beam of annihilating fire.
Hang on, E!
Meowcry shouted, his voice strained. He threw the Shaki into a desperate spiral, pulling them around the edge of the devastating beam. The heat seared the walls. Seeing their chance, Ulysses pulled the trigger of the cannon. It hummed, charging a massive blast of cosmic energy. But he held it, his muscles trembling with the effort, allowing the power to build and glow larger. A brilliant, searing ball of light grew below the Shaki, expanding like a captive star as they neared the beast's open maws.
Special delivery!
Ulysses shouted, his voice raw as he finally released the trigger. The energy lanced out, but it did not manifest as a mere beam. It took form, twisting and coalescing into the shape of a magnificent, blazing bird of cosmic fire. It screeched a challenge that was pure energy, and flew true, striking Warnog directly in the mouth. The Titan recoiled, a roar of genuine pain tearing from his throat. The immense gem atop his head, the source of his power, flickered and dimmed erratically. He hung low for a moment, dazed as if recoiling himself. His great head swaying.
He's exposed! Go get him, lads!
Ulysses shouted down to the kids below, who were already poised to strike. They nodded, a unified unit of courage, watching as the Shaki began to fly directly over the stricken Warnog, presenting them a clear path to their target. "Let's go!" Jaida cried as she burst out the front door without a moment's hesitation. Behind her, Voyd and Toonie explode in the motion, their own powers already simmering around them, charged for battle. Then went Ellie and Coco, followed by Winona, Francine, and Toby. Even Meowcry left from his pilot's spot, running behind them on all fours. They could all see it, their objective glowing bright and vulnerable atop the god's head. Together as one, they all jumped off the porch, committing themselves to a freefall and heading straight for the orb of energy. As they fell, Voyd, Jaida, and Toonie entered a controlled nosedive, their forms sleek and purposeful. Ellie, Coco, Winona, and Francine shouted, a mix of terror and exhilaration ripped from their lungs by the rushing wind. As they neared the colossal beast, Meowcry leaped through the air, his form dissolving into a streak of energy that latched around Francine, encasing her in a suit of armor. All the while, Toby spun like a stiff action figure through the air, his trajectory oddly controlled. Everyone who remained within the Shaki watched with breath held in their chests, their hearts hammering against their ribs, as the kids aimed themselves like living missiles right for the flickering gem. The distance closed, but to their overwhelming relief, they made it, Just as they made contact, its energy reacted to them. They all vanished, warping away in a unified flash of green light, disappearing into the very body of Warnog himself. With a sharp flash of teal, the group crashed violently into a new space, one far more grotesque than their wildest nightmares. They landed hard, jolting on a terrain that was neither soil nor stone, but something sickeningly organic. A fleshy, uneven ground that quivered beneath them with every breath Warnog seemed to take. It pulsed subtly, like a sleeping beast shifting in its slumber. The air hung thick, reeking of rot and blood. Above and around them arched a vast dome, a cavernous chamber constructed not of rock or steel, but of flesh. Walls glistened under a dim bioluminescent glow. Swollen veins, thick as tree roots, threaded through the organic walls in pulsing waves of green and orange, throbbing rhythmically, feeding the space with a nauseating light. From these spongy surfaces, jagged crystals jutted like bones, refracting the eerie luminescence in the fractured light that danced across their horrified faces.
Ew! Are we?
Francine shrieked, recoiling as her and Meowcree's feet sank slightly into the yielding floor. She yanked their foot free with a wet squelch, her face twisted in revulsion. Yeah, Tootie muttered, his voice strained, eyes darting across the pulsing walls as if expecting them to swallow them whole. We're inside Warnog. Voyd finished, his voice low, hollow. Jaidas stood frozen, her breath shallow, her blue eyes narrowed as she scanned the cavernous interior. She could feel something deep, something that was hers. But before she could voice it, a sound came through the air, deep and thunderous, echoing through the chamber like the ticking of some monstrous clock. Thump, thump, thump. It was a heartbeat. Everyone turned, slowly as one, lifting their chins towards the ceiling. There, suspended like a monstrous chandelier, hung a heart. A colossal, grotesque organ the size of 3 semi-trucks. It dangled from thick, vein-laced tendrils that snaked into the fleshy ceiling, its surface a tapestry of glistening muscle, pulsing with green and orange light. With each beat, it shuddered, sending waves through the very air, the sound vibrating in their bones, their teeth, and their souls. A collective shiver passed through the group. Jaida's jaw tightened, her hands clenching in the fists at her sides. She could feel it. Her soul. It was nestled in the heart. It's time to end this, she said, her voice steady, though her eyes burned with a mixture of fear and fury. Voyd didn't hesitate. He stepped forwards, his expression resolute, and gently he took her by the waist. Without a word, his wings manifested. With a powerful thrust, he launched them both into the air. Below, the others watched, weapons drawn, hearts pounding in time with the monstrous rhythm above. As they ascended, Jaida frowned. Ugh, gross, she muttered, as droplets of vicious fluid rained down from the heart's underbelly, splattering against them. She ignored it, focusing instead on the organ before her, now looming like a god of flesh. She reached out, placing both palms flat against the pulsating surface. The flesh yielded like a warm wax, yet burned with unnatural energy. She closed her eyes, drawing inwards, summoning her mother's warp essence that flowed in her veins. She could feel it. It was there. Her soul. Just beneath the surface, tangled in the corruption, trapped in the essence. She pushed her will into the organ, sending streams of blue cosmic energy deep into the heart's core, searching, pulling, tugging at the threads of her being. Slowly, the heart began to change. Its orange glow intensified, pulsing brighter, faster, the rhythmic thump becoming a gallop, a frantic drumbeat. Tendrils of light spiderwebbed across its surface, veins igniting with golden-orange fire. "Come on. Come on," Jaida whispered, sweat beading on her brow. Her hair once again began to shimmer at the ends, blooming in the streaks of radiant orange, the mark of her powers surging. "Almost got it," she panted, teeth gritted. The light in the heart swelled, blazing like a miniature sun. But then, it fought back. A violent pulse erupted from the core, a shockwave of raw, corrupted energy that blasted outwards, slamming into Voyd and Jaida like a fist. They were sent spiraling backwards, tumbling through the air until Voyd twisted mid-fall, wings flaring to slow their descent. They landed hard on the fleshy ground, coughing and dazed. Above them, the heart spasmed. It jerked violently from side to side, tendons straining, veins bulging. The entire chamber shuddered. The walls groaned. "What the hell?" Winona breathed, fumbling for her slingshot with trembling fingers. She pulled it from her satchel, loading a firecracker with practiced haste. "That," Ellie murmured, gripping her bat until her knuckles turned white, "doesn't look good." She gulped. "No, it's naughty," Miakri said, voice high with dread atop Francine's head. His makeshift glove elongated into a sword, which slid into Francine's waiting hand.
"Warnock's soul is entering a self-defensive form."
Before anyone could reply, light spilled from the underside of the heart, a golden radiance thick and molten, pouring like liquid sunlight from a wound. It pooled in midair, swirling, coalescing, shaping itself into something real.
"It's becoming a living infection-y killer,"
Miakri whispered, him and Francine backing up a step.
"Now that the soul has returned to its body, it can manifest in a form only divine power could allow."
Coco bared her teeth.
"I take it we're the infection then?"
she whimpered. Toby lowered his head, fur bristling, a low growl rumbling in his chest. Francine frowned, though her eyes were hard. "I would say precisely," she stated. "Oh boy," Voyd muttered, summoning his blade again, the blue weapon humming with energy as he took a stance beside Jaida. They all braced as the figure fully formed. It was a woman, or the idea of one. It was faceless, yet undeniably feminine. She glowed with a radiant, shifting hue of orange and yellow, like fire seen through smoke. Her hair flowed behind her in long, ethereal waves. But beneath, where her legs began, it twisted in the tendrils of serpentine limbs. She hugged herself, arms wrapped tight as if in pain or fear. Then, they understood it. It wasn't just Warnock's soul. It wasn't just Jaida's. It was truly both, fused and tangled, a grotesque union of infection and host, light and corruption, soul and parasite. Jaida's breath caught. "It's my soul," she whispered, her voice breaking. The faceless head tilted upwards, slowly. For a heartbeat, there was stillness, peace. The tendril stilled, the light softened. Then something happened. Something snapped. The soul's fist clenched, the tendrils coiled like striking vipers. Her head snapped back, and though she had no mouth, a shriek erupted. It tore through the fleshy chamber like a sonic blade, a sound so full of agony and fury that the very walls bled. The fleshy ground heaved, the crystal shattered. The group was thrown backwards, skidding across the quivering terrain, ears ringing, minds reeling. When they looked up again, the entire chamber was alight, a blazing orange inferno of pulsing energy. The heart above throbbed with divine rage. Jaida rose to her knees, then stood, her blue hair swirling around her like a storm. Her eyes burned with resolve. Everyone else stood behind her, ready for what had to be done. If she was to get her soul back, there was only one thing to do. They had to fight. The battle erupted in a heartbeat. With a defiant scream, Jaida's soul lashed out, its power unfurling like a storm. Cosmic blades materialize in the air around it, their edges shimmering with otherworldly energy before hurling towards the gathered warriors. The legends scattered, some leaping aside, others ducking low as the deadly projectiles screech past them, embedding themselves into the walls with ominous slashes. Jaida didn't hesitate. She warped forwards, her fingers outstretched, reaching for the fractured essence that had once been hers. But the soul was faster. It recoiled, twisting away with unnatural grace, before retaliating. Its golden, writhing tendrils lashed out like whips, striking Jaida square in the chest. The impact sent her sprawling, skidding across the floor with a grunt of pain. Voyd seized the opportunity. With a battle cry, he lunged, his blade gleaming, as he brought down a vicious arc. The energy connected with the soul's back, cutting deep. A guttural scream tore as it rolled on him, its form flickering with rage. Before Voyd could react, the soul raised a spectral hand, and in an instant, a colossal cosmic hammer materialized above him. With a flick of telekinetic will, it swung. Voyd barely managed to raise his weapon in time. The hammer crashed against his blade, the force behind it monstrous. His arms trembled under the weight before the sheer momentum sent him flying backwards, his boots grinding against the wet floor as he fought to regain his footing. Coco was already moving. She darted in, her staff whirling in an arc before she planted it hard against the fleshy ground, using the bounce to propel herself upwards. Twisting midair, she brought the weapon crashing against the soul's faceless front. The impact reverberated with a sickening crack, but the spirit barely flinched. Coco landed hard, rolling awkwardly to avoid the retaliatory strike, as jagged tendrils stabbed the ground where she had been moments before. Ellie didn't waste the opening. She sprinted forwards, her movements fluid as she dodged a fresh barrage of summoned blades that rained from above. "Exposed strike zone!" Her voice rang out, sharp and triumphant, as she vaulted into the air, her bat swinging down with brutal precision. The blow connected with the soul's chest, and it tucked in its hands, sending it staggering back with another ear-splitting shriek. Enraged, the spirit retaliated. Its tendrils lashed out again, slamming into the floor like spears in an attempt to impale Ellie. But Toonie was faster. Dark matter tendrils shot forwards, intercepting the strike with a clash of power that sent sparks flying. His lips curled into a snarl as he countered, slashing back at the soul, forcing it to warp away and retreat. Unwilling to relent, Toonie retracted his defensive appendages and lunged forwards, fists blazing with raw energy. Each strike landed with a concussive burst, driving the soul back further and further. But the battle was far from over. Before the spirit could recover, Winona joined the fray. Her last few firecrackers were already spiraling through the air, their fuses burning dangerously short. One connected, embedding itself into the soul's form before detonating in a burst of searing flame. The spirit convulsed, wailing as the fire erupted within its spectral body. The other one struck too, going off after the other in powerful bursts of energy that made the soul shriek. Driven into a frenzy, it lashed out indiscriminately. Its tendrils spun in a deadly, whirling storm, striking with enough force that sent everyone crashing to the ground. The very room itself seemed to writhe in response to its fury, walls trembling, the floor buckling beneath them as though reality itself was unraveling. Francie and Myakri weren't deterred. They charged in unison, their blade flashing as they struck with synchronized precision. The soul met them head-on, conjuring its own blade to parry and counter. Cosmic energy clashed against cosmic energy in a blur of motion, the combatants moving too fast to follow. Toby didn't hesitate either. Slipping through the chaos, he darted in, draw a snapping shut around one of the soul's flailing tendrils, tearing at it with ferocity. For a moment, it seemed they had the upper hand. Then, with another bone-chilling scream, the soul had enough. Its tendrils expanded, multiplying in an instant. Like serpents, they shot forwards, coiling around throats, lifting the legends off their feet as they choked and struggled. All except Jaida. Bruised, battered, but unbroken, she rose. Her eyes burned with defiance as she locked gazes with a monstrous reflection of herself. The soul, faceless yet unmistakably furious, stared back, its grip tightening on her friends. Jaida's fingers curled in the fists. A blade of pure blue energy materialized in her grasp, humming with power. The soul tensed, preparing the counter, but Jaida didn't strike at it. Instead, she spun and hurled the sword upwards. The weapon flew, arcing through the air before embedding itself deep in the war dog's heart. The soul's scream was unholy. It convulsed, its form flickering wildly as it was damaged from the strike. Its hold on the others faltered, tendrils retracting as it staggered, weakened. Jaida didn't wait. She sprinted, closing the distance in a heartbeat before launching herself at the spirit. "This ends now!" she howled. Her entire body blazed with blue radiance as she seized the soul by its head. The moment her fingers made contact, its essence responded like water rushing back into a lake. Her stolen power began trickling back into her, filling the void that had been left behind. Realizing what was happening, Jaida focused. And then, with a scream that echoed through the chamber, she forced the soul to submit. A golden light erupted, blinding in its brilliance. Wind howled, tearing through the room as the soul shrieked, its form writhing, resisting but powerless against Jaida's will. One by one, the others were released, crashing to the ground as the spirit's grip failed. And then, Amelia emerged. Detaching from Jaida, she hovered, eyes wide with awe as she watched her daughter reclaim what had been stolen.
You took everything from us!
Jaida's voice was raw with fury, trembling with exertion.
Now, we will take everything from you!
With a final, shattering surge of power, she yanked. The soul screamed, a desperate, fading cry, before Jaida dragged it back into herself, binding it to her essence once more. Light flooded the chamber, washing out all the color and all the sound. The world turned white. And then, silence. The world trembled as a flash of teal energy erupted from within Warnog's gem, ripping through the air like a celestial storm. In an instant, Voyd and the others, everyone except Jaida, were violently expelled from the Titan's body, their bodies hurled through the stars, before they landed hard on the wooden porch of the Caddyshacky, limbs tangled, gasping for air as pain radiated through their bones. Groans and muttered curses filled the air as they struggled to stand. Amelia, her hands clutching the porch railing for support, whipped her head towards the group, her blue eyes scanning each of them with urgency.
Are you all okay?
She demanded, voice sharp with concern. The teens, still disoriented, nodded in response, bruised, battered, but alive. Knockclover was already to his feet, frantically searching the sky.
Where's Jaida?
He shouted, his voice cracking with fear. Silence followed, a dreadful, heart-skipping silence, until the sound of Warnog's labored cough shattered it. All heads turned as the Titan staggered, his massive form convulsing, his once gleaming crystals flickering erratically, their light fading like dying stars. The Shacky lurched backwards, its wooden hull groaning as it put distance between them and the god who had sought to destroy them all. Warnog swayed, his monstrous head rolling as if drunk on his own pain. A strange, radiant glow began to seep from between his jagged teeth, pulsing brighter with each ragged breath. Then, a crack split the air, as Warnog's forehead gem shattered. From the ruins of it, a blinding explosion of golden light erupted, bursting forth like a supernova. Warnog's agonized scream tore through the cosmic realm as he recoiled, his massive claws clutching at his chest and head as if trying to claw back what had just escaped him. And then, there she was, Jaida. Her entire body radiated cosmic energy, her skin bathed in shining gold and orange hues. Her hair, now a blazing cascade of sapphire fire, whipped around her like a solar flare. Her eyes burned with the same blue as well, blazing orbs of rage. She hovered in the air, a goddess in her own right, an angel, a cosmic angel, her soul finally reclaimed. A thunderous cheer erupted from the Shacky upon seeing her. Voyd, however, could only stare, his breath hitched, his lips parting as a brilliant blue flush spread across his cheeks. Whoa. The single word escaped him in a whisper, filled with awe. Warnog's eyes, wide and desperate, locked on the Jaida.
No!
He bellowed, his voice a grotesque mixture of fury and terror. His body flickered, his energy waning, but he refused to yield.
I will not be denied!
With a final surge of stolen power, he unleashed a torrent of searing fire, the blast ripping towards Jaida like a ravenous beast. She didn't flinch. Instead, she scowled, thrusting her arms forward with a battle cry. Golden cosmic light erupted from her palms in a devastating beam, slamming against Warnog's attack in a cataclysmic clash. The collision sent shockwaves through the air, the sky itself trembling as their powers warred, gold against teal and orange. Everyone stumbled back in the shack, shielding their eyes from the brilliance. What happened to her? Winona yelled over the deafening roar. Amelia's answer was triumphant. She took her soul back. Not just that, but all of Warnog's strength. The revelation sent a jolt through the group, their jaws dropping in unison. Voyd grinned like a madman, pumping his fist into the air. Kick his ass, baby! He roared. With a surge of will, Jaida's golden light overpowered Warnog's flames, her attack slicing through his dying energy like a blade through flesh. The beam struck him square in the chest, blasting him backwards with such force that his skin began to burn away. Muscles and bone were exposed beneath, his monstrous form withering before their eyes.
No! I refuse!
Warnog shrieked, his voice breaking as desperation clawed at him. Jaida didn't waste time with words or jokes. She moved. Like a comet streaking across the heavens, she shot forwards through Warnog. The impact sent shockwaves through his body, her ethereal form phasing in and out as she assaulted him from every angle. Bones snapped, organs ruptured, his once indomitable form staggered, his colors fading as his stolen strength abandoned him.
Stop this!
Warnog begged, his voice now a wheezing gasp.
Return what belongs to me, and I shall grant you anything!
Jaida paused mid-flight, hovering before him, her glowing eyes locking onto his. No! She said, her voice echoing with the weight of the cosmos. My soul was never yours, nor were the lives you took from me, from everyone! She snarled, fists clenching at her sides. You mess with the wrong planet! Her hands flashed outwards, and between them, a blazing guitar of pure golden energy materialized. Warnog's eyes widened in terror. Jaida's fingers curled around the instrument, her other hand gripping the guitar pick around her neck. With a scream of fury, she strummed. Here's a farewell from me, as well as the AURORA LEGENDS, you son of a bitch! The sound was deafening. A sonic explosion that looked to rip reality apart. Hundreds of golden energy waves erupted from the strings, each one screeching with the power of 1,000 suns. The attack slammed into Warnog with apocalyptic force, his outer flesh dissolving on contact, leaving behind nothing but a charred skeleton. The blast subsided. Silence. And then, a final shockwave detonated as the sound wave struck the ground, engulfing all of Ophis in a blinding flash. Warnog's skeletal remains went flying up, his bones scattering like shattering rock in the wind. Then, the sky rained fragments of his shattered form, each piece crashing to the island below. For a moment, it was over. Victory. And then, Jaida's golden aura flickered. The cosmic radiance faded, her hair returning to its natural orange, her eyes dimming. Her body wavered mid-air before her eyelids fluttered shut. And then she began the fall. Jaida! Voyd screamed toward through the celebration. He didn't hesitate. In an instant, his wings burst from his back, and he leapt from the Shacky's porch, diving through the storm of falling bones. His heart pounded in his chest. His vision narrowed to her limp form as she plummeted towards Ophis. She was so far, but he wouldn't let her fall. Not again. Voyd deactivated his mask, the wind tearing at his face as he pushed himself further, harder. He stretched out his arms, fingers straining. After a few long moments of dread, he had her. Gotcha! His hands closed around her, yanking her against his chest as he twisted midair, narrowly avoiding a jagged piece of falling spine. Voyd dodged and weaved as several bone fragments rained down. He spun, he dipped, and evaded all. As the ground rushed up to meet them, Voyd adjusted his wings, flaring at the last second to soften the impact. They landed in a field of blue grass and flowers, his knees buckling from the force. Around them, the remnants of Warnock's corpse rained down, clattering, cracking, burying themselves in the soil. Then, with a final thunderous crash, the Titan's skull and spine slammed into the ground, a short distance away. No movement, no breath, just silence. It was over, and in his arms, Jaida lay still, but alive. She was alive. The air was still. No hum of fire, no distant roar of war, no pulse of corrupted energy. Only the soft sigh of the wind through the swaying blue flora and the steady, calming breaths of the two of them. Voyd knelt in the soft blue nature, his arms wrapped tightly around Jaida, his blue wings dissolving in the motes of light that spiraled upwards. He watched her chest rising and falling, her face streaked with sweat. Then, slowly, her eyelids fluttered open, revealing the orange warmth of her gaze, dazed but lucid. "Voyd?" she whispered, voice fragile as glass. He smiled, genuine, relieved, full of something too deep for words. He brushed a strand of hair from her forehead. "Hey, Freckles," he murmured, his voice rough with emotion. Above them, the shacky hummed softly as it descended, its thrusters winding down in gentle pulses, casting rippling shadows across the grass. The stars above seemed to brighten in response, as if the universe itself had exhaled. Jaida sat up slowly, wincing, then looked around in quiet awe. The skeletal remains of Warnog lay scattered around them, his mighty form now destined to become fossils and huge forgotten crystals. The blue grass rippled in the breeze. The flowers bloomed between the cracks in the soil. Butterflies, tiny and radiant, drifted through the air. She turned to him, her smile returning, small but happy. "We got him?" she asked. Voyd laughed, a deep sound. He nodded firmly, pressing his forehead to hers in a gentle nuzzle. Yeah. Yeah, we got him. We got him. His voice broke on the last word, not from weakness, but from the weight of what they'd endured. Jaida shuddered then, a deep, full-body release of tension. A single tear slipped down her cheek, not of sorrow, but of liberation. She leaned into him, and he welcomed her, their foreheads still touching, a quiet intimacy passing between them. Behind them, the Shacky settled onto the ground with a soft thud. One by one, their friends emerged. Winona first, her shoes crunching on the grass, followed by Francine with Meowcree perched proudly on her shoulder. Ellie ran forwards, Toonie beside her, Coco close by, and little Toby yapping at the sky, tail wagging furiously. Knock, Cot, Jamie, and Jet came next, exhausted but alive. And at the rear, Ulysses slithered out beside Amelia, his gaze sweeping the land with a quiet sense of relief. "Jaida!" Winona cried, her voice cracking. Everyone's bodies crashed together in a tangle of arms, fur, tears, and laughter. The friend group collided in a mess of hugs and sobs, the relief spilling out in shouts and giggles, in cries of disbelief and triumph. They held each other as if they might vanish if they let go. Jamie, Knock, and Cot watched from afar, faces soft with pride and emotion. Then Meowcree perked up, ears twitching. From over the nearby ridge, two massive feline figures emerged, eyes gleaming. His parents. Without a word, Meowcree leapt from Francine's shoulder and bounded towards them. The reunion was wordless but profound. Three heads pressing together, rumbling purrs echoing through the field. They nuzzled, they licked, They growled low in their throats with joy. Jaida then looked up, noticing her mother, moving toward her with slow, deliberate steps, as if every footfall carried the weight of years of longing. The others instinctively stepped back, granting them space. Jaida's vision blurred as tears welled in her eyes, and before another second could pass, she sprinted forwards, crashing into her mother's arms. Amelia caught her, spinning them both in a tight embrace that felt like the closing of an unspoken chapter.
Mama! We did it! We did it!
Jaida wept, her voice muffled against Amelia's shoulder. Amelia nodded, her own eyes shimmering with unshed tears. Then, slowly, she knelt before her daughter, cupping Jaida's face with a tenderness that spoke more than words ever could.
Yeah, we did,
she murmured, thumbs brushing away the damp trails on Jaida's cheeks.
I am so very proud of you, honey. You were amazing.
Jaida threw her arms around her mother again, clinging to the moment like it might slip away. And perhaps, deep down, she knew it would. Around them, the air hummed with serenity, the kind that settles only after the final battle had been won. The butterflies, they continued the drift through the air, their wings catching the fractured light. Toonie lifted a finger, allowing one of the butterflies to land upon it. It perched for only a moment, wings flexing in a silent dance before taking flight again.
So, what now?
He asked, watching its ascent. Ulysses, arms crossed, let his gaze sweep over the ruins of Ophis.
Now's a good question,
he admitted.
I suppose I should find my sisters. With Warnog gone, the six of us might actually find peace somewhere else.
Francine tilted her head. What about your mother? Ulysses scoffed.
The hell with her. Can't imagine she'd leave this place. She'll probably try to keep the dynasty alive. But without Warnog her father, there's no way it'll stay afloat.
Miakri nodded in agreement.
Exactly,
he said, turning back to his parents with a bittersweet smile.
Mummy, Daddy, you are free.
The great cats regarded him, their blue eyes gleaming with something that could only be gratitude. Then, in a motion so tender, they softly nuzzled against him, rough tongues grooming him with affectionate swipes. A low, rumbling purr vibrated between them before they reared up, throwing their heads back in a triumphant roar that shook the soil beneath them. With one last lingering look at their son, they turned and bounded towards the distant trees, vanishing into the wind where no chains could ever reach them again. Miakri watched them go, his paw raised in a small wave. Hey, why didn't you go with them? Voyd asked, his brow furrowed. Miakri lowered his arm, a thoughtful tone escaping him.
When my brainy was alteredy, I became differenty, less of an animal and more of a freethinkery. I love them, yesy, but I'm not like them anymore. I can't live like themy.
He looked at the others, resolve hardening in his voice.
I must live truly.
He hesitated, then huffed a laugh.
Though I don't exactly know what that'll look likey. I never imagined I'd be able to free themy. I myself am now without direction-y.
Francine stepped forwards, dropping the one knee with a weary grin. Why don't you come back with us? She suggested. Miakri's ears twitched in surprise. Earth's a lot more fun than this place. Besides, she rolled her eyes. I'd, like to spend more time with my, fellow Red, I guess. Miakri's eyes widened, his whiskers trembled. For a moment, He looked dangerously close to tears again.
Really?
He whispered, voice cracking.
Oh, Francini, I would love to.
He cried, launching himself into her arms. Francine staggered back with a laugh, barely managing to keep her balance as she returned the embrace. Okay, don't make it weird, she muttered, though the fondness in her tone was unmistakable. The others chuckled, the sound warm and light. Amelia sighed, her fingers lingering against Jaida's cheek. There was no need for words. Jaida already knew.
You're free too now, Mom,
she whispered, fighting back another wave of tears.
I'm guessing you have to go now.
Amelia's expression softened, trying not to cry.
As much as I would love to stay, your father's probably worried sick about me. And even if I went back, how could I, looking like this?
She trailed off, shaking her head. Then gently, she lifted Jaida's chin.
Oh, Pumpkin. I may not be here physically, but know that I will always be by your side. In here.
She pressed a finger to Jaida's chest, right above her heart.
We'll see each other again one day. Don't view this as a goodbye. More so see you later.
Jaida nodded, unable to trust her voice. She leaned forwards again, burying her face in Amelia's shoulder, holding on as though she could keep her there through sheer willpower. But Amelia was already fading. She had no more unfinished business. She was moving on.
I love you, Mom.
Jaida choked out. Amelia kissed her forehead, her touch like sunlight against her skin.
I love you too, Jaida.
And then she was gone, dissolving into 1,000 shimmering butterflies that spiraled into the sky, carrying her home. Jaida's hand dropped to her side, empty. She stared at the ground, feeling the absence like a fresh wound. But then, Voyd's arm curled around her. Winona and Ellie's hands settled on her shoulders. Toonie, Coco, and Francine stood right by her side. Even Toby pawed at her ankles until she lifted him into her arms. He licked the tears from her face, his tiny, reassuring presence a reminder that she was not alone. Jaida smiled softly as Nock caught Jamie and Jed approached. They too offered silent but knowing comfort. Jaida wasn't alone. She never would be. A deep hum then resonated through the clearing as the Shacky's cannon activated and fired, forming a swirling upside-down triangle portal back to Earth. Ulysses stood upstairs at the controls inside the shack, grinning as he gave them a final wave from the window.
Farewell, my friends, till we meet again.
With that, he blasted off, the Shacky vanishing to the horizon like a shooting star. The others waved softly, wondering if they would ever see Ulysses ever again, perhaps even the sisters. Jamie turned to the others, exhaustion and relief mingling in her expression.
Ready to go home, loves?
They all nodded. Together, they looked at the portal. Hand in hand, they stepped forwards. They had been through a lot, but in the end, each of them came out stronger than they could have imagined. All as one, they finally left Ophis behind. The air in Aurora was different now. It was lighter, sweeter, filled with the simple, profound joy of a normal night. The day had passed since the defeat of Warnog, and the universe finally seemed steady once again. Above, a tapestry of stars twinkled in a velvety black sky. Forest Fest had resumed its tradition. though the scar of battle remained, despite the lack of a Ferris wheel and a few game booths. The festival's heart beat on, stronger than ever. Below at the talent show stage, a massive crowd had formed, a sea of smiling faces. In the prime seats sat Knock, Cot, Jamie, Jet, and Toby. Beside them, Theodore, Matthew, Florence, Delilah, and Inez sat side by side, all of them awaiting for the show to start. Behind the stage, the atmosphere was a cocktail of nerves, excitement, and sheer joy. The AURORA Legends prepared for their long overdue performance. Voyd stood apart for a moment, elegant in a dark blue tuxedo that seemed to borrow its hue from the twilight sky. Jaida, radiant in a white and orange dress with matching gloves, had her fiery hair pulled back into a bun. Nearby, Toonie fidgeted in a blue tuxedo of his own, one that Winona was gently adjusting. She, herself, was a vision in a pretty red grape purple dress with white accents, her hair now softly curled at the ends. Beside her, Coco was in a yellow dress adorned with an orange ribbon around her waist. She was performing a similar service for Ellie, straining the lines of a fancy green suit. Ellie stood with a newfound confidence. Both eyes were exposed for the world to see, her hair tied back into an intricate braided ponytail. "You look amazing, but..." Coco said, her voice soft with affection as well as with a touch of concern. "Are you sure you're going to be able to play the drums with that rib of yours?" Ellie scoffed, a familiar brash sound that was now layered with warmth. "I'll be fine." She reached out, cupping a hand to Coco's cheek, her touch gentle. "Say, want to grab some grub after this?" she asked, her voice dropping to a more intimate tone. Coco blushed, the color blooming on her cheeks. Yeah, that would be nice," she murmured, bending to pick up her saxophone, using the motion to hide her flustered smile. "Sweet, let's rock and roll then," Ellie said. Before turning away, she leaned in and kissed Coco squarely on the cheek, eliciting a delighted giggle from the girl in the yellow dress. A few feet away, Toonie's nerves were getting the better of him. Is the tie good? My hair all right? Are my green eyes? Are they obnoxious? Am I fine?" he asked, his voice tired with anxiety. Winona rolled her eyes, but a fond smile played on her lips. "Oh, relax, Tuna Fur. You look handsome." She reached up and ruffled his already imperfect hair, a gesture that broke the tension. Toonie laughed, the sound easy and free. He nodded. "Thanks, Win-Win." His eyes then drifted over Winona's shoulder, and they widened. Whoa! She went all out! Winona raised an eyebrow and turned around, her own eyes widening in astonishment as Francine marched onto the backstage area, propelled by Meowcree, who was pulling her by the hand. "Oh, relaxy! You look wonderfully!" the cat insisted, gesturing flamboyantly towards Winona, who felt a hard blush beat on her face. Francine wore a stunning black dress that faded to a soft white near the top, a gradient mirrored by the hair tie that held up her ponytail. The dress was dyed with tiny white specks, creating the illusion of a starry night sky, or perhaps a beautifully crafted Oreo cookie. She held a violin case in trembling hands, her gaze locked on Winona, equal parts terrified and hopeful. Toonie smiled warmly and sidestepped, giving them space. "Hey, you look... wow," Winona managed, her voice barely above a whisper, her blush deepening. Francine looked away bashfully, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "I know it isn't the best dress. It's all I had, surprisingly," she mumbled. Winona's smile was genuine and reassuring. No, you look... you look... She stalled, searching for a word worthy of the vision before her. "Spectacular," Francine scoffed, rubbing the back of her head. "Says you in that pretty dress. You look gorgeous." Winona giggled, a sound of pure happiness before stepping forwards, closing the distance between them.
Thank you. Are you ready to play? Francine took a steadying breath and nodded. Yeah. I'm just worried what my aunt will say after all this, though. Winona rolled her eyes with a fierceness that was all her own. Oh, screw her! I want you to be yourself out there. Show her who Francine Richtum really is. The words were a balm. Francine's shoulders straightened, and a real smile touched her lips. Right. Just be myself, she repeated. Winona then leaned down and kissed her softly on the cheek. I love you. You're gonna do great. Francine blushed, looking to the side, her heart beating so hard the golden locket vibrated around her neck. I love you too, Winnie. Before either could fully get lost in the moment, Meowcree butted himself in, raising up his own bizarre instrument. He had morphed a banjo out of his stomach and gave it an enthusiastic strum. We're all gonna do greaty. I've always wanted to be in a bandy. The ridiculousness of the instrument and his declaration broke the tension, and the girls laughed, reaching out to affectionately ruffle his head. However, near the back edge of the stage, away from the laughter and chatter, Voyd sat alone. His legs dangled over the side, and his gaze was fixed on the sky above, watching the stars twinkle in the peaceful darkness, the sound of celebrating fair seeming distant. Jaida approached quietly, her footsteps soft on the wooden planks. She sat down beside him, setting her guitar aside. Hey, everything all right? She asked, her voice gentle. Voyd looked at her, pulled from his deep thoughts, and nodded. Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Just lost in thoughts, I guess. He admitted, his usual bravado softened to vulnerability. Jaida tilted her head, her ears lowering slightly. Oh? She asked. About what? Voyd kicked his legs slowly, his hands clasped together in his lap. He took a deep breath, deciding to speak honestly.
I've just been thinking about yesterday. Thinking about you and your mom. He sighed, the sound heavy with a private grief. I just kind of wish I was able to have a moment like that too. Have a chance to properly say goodbye to someone I lost in Salvaheim. To let someone go with a sense of peace and instead of their final memory being that of fear. Jaida's ears flattened against her head. Her expression melted into one of deep empathy. Oh, Voyd, she said, her voice thick with emotion. Without another word, she shifted closer and wrapped her arms around him in a tight, sincere hug. I'm sorry. Voyd simply hugged her back, a sad but genuine smile touching his lips. He appreciated the comfort, the unspoken understanding. It's okay. It's just my brain being dumb. At that moment, the voice of the announcer boomed across the festival grounds, now cutting through the night air.
Now introducing the AURORA Legends.
The call to action seemed to electrify the air backstage. Voyd's smile solidified in the one of determined joy. He stood, pulling Jaida up with him. Come on, Freckles. We have a song to play. Jaida's face broke into a brilliant smile, matching his newfound energy. Yeah, you're right. Let's give him an encore. Together, they moved to join the others. As one united group, the AURORA Legends piled out onto the stage, ready to play the night away under the stars they had fought so hard to save. However, as they began the play, no one was aware as to what was happening elsewhere within the universe. Past the stars, past the cosmic realm, past the dream realm and spirit realms. A calm, radiant night had descended elsewhere within none other than the matter realm. On a far-off world, far, far away from the ruins of Salvaheim, at the edge of a glassy pond, stood a lone figure. His silhouette was broad and solemn against the glow of the night. He wore a cloak of thick fur, stitched together from the hides of long-since defeated beasts. It was one joined by belts and other pelts made in the clothes, topped with makeshift armor. His skin was a dark gray-brown, shining under the moonlight. His head rounded and strong, crowned by 6 sharp orange-brown horns that curved at sloped angles. Orange eyes, deep and full of quiet sorrow, gazed into the heavens, watching blue stars above. Around him, life shimmered in quiet wonder. Bioluminescent flora cast soft halos of yellow light and gold across the clearing, their light mingling with the shimmers of insect-like beings no larger than a fingertip, flying in delicate spirals like living stars. The world around the figure was merely a beautiful, warm woodland forest of light matter. Scattered across the forest's edge stood a cluster of makeshift homes, each one glowing warmly from within. Fires crackled, and voices murmured in low song, while the faint scent of a roast hung in the air. But the lone figure stood apart, stargazing intently. He had been standing there for hours, perhaps longer. The aurora borealis shifted above him, its colors bleeding and reforming like memories slipping through fingers. He watched the constellations drift, tracing patterns that were ever so beautiful. His chest rose and fell with the weight of something unspoken. Then, a voice. "Cor? Hey, what are you doing? Your sister has finished dinner." Cor Novison, the older brother of Voyd Novison, turned to face the voice, his sparkmate. Sika Rain's daughter stood just behind him, wrapped in a garment nearly identical to his own, furs, pelts, and red-dyed armor. She was as tall as ever, her frame strong, her eyes red and glowing, her horns antler-shaped. And in her arms, wrapped in a woven blanket spun from a special kind of silk, a small form stirred. Cor's expression softened, but did not break. "Sorry, dear," he said, his voice deep and tired. He turned back to the sky, his gaze lingering. "It's just..." Sika stepped forwards, closing the distance between them. Her boots barely made a sound against the mossy soil. "It's what, hon?" she asked, gently. He exhaled, long and slow. I'm just really missing him. Voyd would have loved to see this." He gestured upwards towards the auroras, the stars, the silent symphony of light. "He always loved it when the sky turned blue at night." Sika moved beside him, resting her head gently against his broad shoulder. The warmth of her was a quiet comfort. "Oh, Cor," she whispered, her voice thick with a shared grief. And then, a sound. A soft coo, a whimper, delicate and tender. They both looked down. Inside the blanket, nestled in folds of silver-threaded cloth, a tiny face emerged. A baby spark. Her skin a delicate magenta pink, her forehead marked by a bold stripe of yellow, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. She had tiny round horns, but none on her cheeks, though they did match her father's on the head. She fussed, her tiny fingers curling and uncurling in the air. Her eyes, still not fully focused, blinked up at the 2 towering figures above her. Cor reached out, his fingers impossibly gentle as they brushed the curve of her head. She stilled instantly, responding to the hum of his presence. "Your daughter was getting worried about you," Sika said softly, a small smile playing at her lips. Cora chuckled, a low, warm sound that had not been heard in weeks. Would you like a few minutes more? Sika asked, studying his face. Cor shook his head.
No.
Come, let's go eat. He offered a smile, thin and fragile, as ice on a spring lake. It was real. It was enough. Sika eyed him. Are you sure? She asked.
Positive.
Cor responded. Then he looked down at the child in her arms.
Joby's probably starving anyways,
he said. Sika grinned, nuzzling the baby. Yeah, I think she's starting to steal the Grumbles nickname away from you. Isn't that right, sweetheart? The baby cooed again, her yellow stripe flickering brighter as if in agreement. Cor laughed, a fuller sound this time, but as they turned the walk back towards the little village, Cor paused, just for a moment. He looked back, once, only once, at the pond, the stars, the auroras still dancing above. And beneath his breath, so soft that even the wind nearly stole it, he spoke.
I miss you, brother.
Then he stepped forwards. The bioluminescent insects parted before him, the fires called, his people greeting him from afar. Salvaheim survivors, though not many were left. They waited, waving and calling. Cor nodded to them, as he and Sika regrouped, ready to enjoy a well-earned meal. The thought of Voyd, however, never left his mind.
Well, hello again, dear listener from beyond the veil. You've done it again. You've completed yet another chapter of this truly special project of mine. Huh? Yeah. After 4 long months, it's finally done. In Draft 2, this whole second story with a crazy cult didn't even exist. Well, it sort of did, but was never finished. Guess that's the woes of being a conflicted writer, I suppose. I won't lie, though. This one was rather draining. Life is a bit hectic on not just my front, but on all fronts. On that note, the fact that you're here, still coming around and waking up every morning is truly remarkable. I'm proud of you for that. very proud. I guess in conjunction to that note, your continued contribution, your attention, always, always, and will always truly mean the world. It's what gives these beings, these fragments of my mind, life. Without you, their story couldn't proceed. But their story is far from over, for we are only at 2 of 7. 5 more chapters remain. 5 more chapters until this perfect world is created. One step after the other. I hope to see you again soon, my friend. What? Still asking who I am? Like I said in our last encounter, that's not important. What's important now is focusing on yourself. Go outside. Call an old friend. Play with your dog. Maybe learn a new hobby. Go on. It's alright. As I said before, the journey will always be waiting for you. Please, be well, my friend. Till we meet again.
So, you're not going to push me offy like last timey? Unfortunately, I'm too tired to, so you're spared for now. Also, you're pretty comfortable, I guess. Whoopsie daisy! Every goddamn! I'm in the lamp. I'm in the lamp. Now I sing as I'm in the lamp. I'm in the lamp. I'm in the lamp. Maybe I made a mistake. Now I sing as I'm in the lamp.